afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace. Coming up, government likely to miss NDA inflation target after November rate hit 23%, with soaring food prices identified as major driver. Also coming up, Transport Minister confident new Shippers Authority Act will address illegitimate charges.
It's not a time to rest on your house, but a time to leverage on the passage of the Act 2024, Act 112, to work assiduously to create a viable shipping environment that facilitates international trade.
Also coming up, decision day in Ghana just 2 days away. This afternoon, we analyze the likely impact of the over 1 million individual bondholders who suffered haircuts during the country's domestic debt exchange program on the outcome. Stay with us as we analyze this and other key blocks in this year's elections. My name is Daryl Kwa. Thanks for being with us. Details coming up. And thanks for staying with us, everyone. Government is likely to end this year missing its inflation target after inflation for November went up marginally to hit 23%. Here's Georgia Afe with more.
Bank of Ghana, after its recent Monetary Policy Committee meeting, revised inflation target for the end of the inflation pressures. Some have argued that it might be difficult for this target to be met. Again, another interesting development that has come up is that based on the data, food prices are rising. This despite the fact that we are coming from a harvest season which should have impacted positively on prices. For instance, the price of beans over the past 1 year has gone up by more than 80%. This has raised questions about the recent Planting for Food and Jobs program by government, which was expected to help reduce prices of foodstuffs on the market. But the Bank of Ghana is still optimistic that inflation rate will get to the single-digit target by the last quarter of next year.
Now, the Ghana Statistical Service has announced that it is bringing the dates for publishing data on inflation and gross domestic product forward. The move is part of efforts to deal with concerns of timeliness. Professor Samuel Kobnenim is government statistician.
For the computation of consumer price index and the data for the producer price index, we are currently not in the position to say that we are able to bring PPI forward. So PPI, as it stands now, would always come in the third week of the month. But it's our goal, as I indicated earlier, to bring it closer to the month of production. One of the things that we've done alongside the PPI, which we all witnessed again a couple of months back, is the Index of Industrial Production, which is complementing the PPI and the industrial sector GDP that we get from our GDP estimates, which now we've instituted to be doing on a monthly basis. GDP in the course of the year, especially in the first quarter of 2024, we're able to do the release earlier than scheduled. Again, it's following the same pattern. This last quarter of 2024, that is next week, exactly this same time, we'll be releasing GDP figures in contrast to the third week of the month that we've been releasing our GDP. The whole idea is to improve on the timeliness of our releases. Since we are not the main data collectors for PPI and GDP, our ability to do that rests with the agencies that gives us the data for the computation of PPI and GDP. Unfortunately, in this last quarter of 2024, we are in a position to do GDP in the second week of the month, which is 11th of December 2024.
Now, the United Arab Emirates remains the top destination for Ghana exports, overtaking Switzerland. That's according to the third quarter trade statistics released by the Ghana Statistical Service. Here's more.
The Ghana Statistical Service trade report showed that United Arab Emirates accounted for about 25.1% of Ghana's exports from July to September this year. Gold, which accounted for a significant portion of Ghana's exports and found its way to that country, was one of the major reasons that pushed United Arab Emirates to this new position. Switzerland came in second with a total share of 18.1%. The exports data showed that the value of gold has risen sharply over the past quarters. Although Switzerland has long been Ghana's top destination for gold, its share had dropped from 39% in 2021 to 30% in the third quarter of 2023. On the other hand, China also came up as the top destination for Ghana's imports for the third quarter of this year.
Well, the Minister of Transport, Kweku Ofori-Asiamah, has described the passage of the Ghana Shippers Authority Act as a game changer for the shipping industry. He says the new act provides the authority with the requisite legal framework to effectively regulate the commercial shipping sector and address challenges such as illegitimate charges by service providers. Rosila Calistego has more from the 50th anniversary launch of the Ghana Shippers Authority.
Over the past 5 decades, the Ghana Shippers Authority has been a cornerstone in economic development. Representing the interest of shippers in Ghana, the authority has played a critical role in interfacing between shippers, shipping service providers, and government. Addressing the 50th anniversary launch of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Minister of Transport Kweku Ofori-Asiamah highlighted the authority's achievements, such as the annual cocoa freight negotiation and the construction of the Boankra Inland Port. The minister was hopeful the passage of the new Ghana Shippers Act will bring dynamic changes to the sector and ensure effective oversight of the industry by the Shippers Authority.
The fulfillment of the vision towards the development of an inland port, the authority acquired and secured a strategic location which is now being developed into Boankra Integrated Terminal in Ashanti region to link the port of Tema and Takoradi to the inland regions of Ghana as well as the landlocked countries of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger. I wish to use this opportunity to caution and admonish the Ghana Shippers Authority that this is not a time to rest on your house, but a time to leverage on the passage of the Act 2024, Act 112, to work assiduously to create a viable shipping environment that facilitates international trade and ensures fairness, efficiency, and competitiveness for all players in commercial shipping industry.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Kwesi Baf Ochiri Sapon, underscored the authority's contributions to Ghana's economy, describing the 50-year journey as a reflection of resilience and innovation.
Ladies and gentlemen, 50 years ago, the Ghana Shippers Authority was born out of a bold and audacious vision to protect and promote the interests of shippers in Ghana at optimum cost. It was not easy then, and it's not easy now. But with each passing decade, we have demonstrated that resilience, there's that word again, coupled with an unyielding commitment to excellence, which will transform even the toughest challenges into boundless opportunities.
Mr. Sapon said the authority will continue to adapt, leverage technology and sustainable practices to improve the operations of shipping and logistics industry.
Now, the Ghana Geospatial Society is advocating speedy adoption of geospatial technologies to boost Ghana's digital transformation drive and economic growth. Speaking at the Society's second annual general meeting in Accra, President Michael Nyogwe highlighted investment in geospatial technologies as key in addressing national challenges and enhancing resource management. Here's more.
Geospatial technology refers to the collection, analysis, and use of data associated with specific locations. This includes satellite imagery, drones, GPS data, and GIS softwares that visualizes and analyzes spatial data. In emerging markets, geospatial technologies are helping address development challenges by providing data-driven insights for a wide range of applications. While geospatial technology has immense potential, several challenges need to be addressed to realize its full benefits here in Ghana. Speaking to Joy Business at the second annual general meeting of the Ghana Geospatial Society in Accra, President Michael Nyogwe highlighted some of the challenges.
The challenges faced is more of the adoption of the geospatial technology. So we have a lot of organizations starting, but then we need to adopt. The adoption rate is not as fast as it should be for the nation to be able to get the benefits that it seeks to get out of it.
To create more awareness, the Geospatial Society says it is taking a different approach by involving the younger generation and introducing spatial thinking clubs in schools.
The society, for one, is adopting a different approach. We want to start by getting our younger ones in the basic and then senior high schools to adopt it. So we plan to have these partial thinking clubs within these schools where we would want to change that mentality among them. We want them to know that it is not even, you don't need to do a geospatial related program to adopt it. Once all of these children adopt it, it becomes like a communication language that everyone uses. You grow into any profession, you use it there. Then this tool now would grow faster. If we want to target those who are old, I'm sure it will take a longer time. So we want to start it from the younger ones. Then as they grow, they would phase out this particular challenge that we have in society.
The Ghana Geospatial Society Annual General Meeting and Conference emphasized the need for geospatial excellence to enable digital growth. Stakeholders deliberated on ways to foster innovation and collaboration to unlock Ghana's potential.
Now, President of the Institute of Directors Ghana, Angela Carmen Appiah, has said the Institute is prepared to work with the next government to improve corporate governance. According to her, the Institute has implemented the necessary training measures to enhance good governance and ensure it is actualized in the public sector. She gave the assurance at a ceremony to induct new members. The event brought together seasoned and aspiring directors, business leaders, and policymakers to celebrate the milestone in the inductees' professional journey. Speaking at the event, Angela Carmen Appiah highlighted the Institute's readiness to support the incoming government, leveraging IOD Ghana's expertise to strengthen governance frameworks and drive national development.
They could look at directors who are already trained as opposed to those that are not trained. And so we have a database of directors in good standing. And that database sits in the Office of the President and also the Office of the Registrar of Companies. So yes, whichever government comes, we will work with them. There are no perfect institutions when we talk about human institutions, but we work with good hearts, goodwill, good intentions, and then advocates.
Appiah further emphasized the Institute's role in equipping directors with the skills necessary for ethical leadership and its impact on the broader governance ecosystem.
Usually businessmen want to make profits, but we are also mindful of the fact that we have a single planet. So if we don't appreciate the ecosystem and try to strike a balance, we will make the profits. A typical example is Galamsey. But in the end, we lose our planet. And when the last tree dies, the last man dies. So how do we conduct ourselves ethically? It doesn't drop from the sky. We learn it, we polish it. At IOD, we do lots of trainings, lots of CPDs, and as professionals, they must do lifelong learning.
The ceremony underscored IOD Ghana's ongoing commitment to empowering directors with values and expertise needed to drive effective corporate governance across both public and private sectors. Now, Regal Reinsurance Brokers has officially entered the market with a mission to boost insurance penetration. Speaking with Joy Business, the founder and chief executive, Peter Kwarteng, highlighted the importance of raising awareness by ensuring insurance products are more accessible to clients. Here's more from the launch ceremony held in Accra.
Regal Reinsurance Brokerage was established with a bold vision to become the leading reinsurance brokerage firm renowned for its expertise, innovation, and unwavering commitment to securing the future of its clients. Founder and CEO Peter Kwarteng emphasized the company's focus on delivering unparalleled value and satisfaction to its clients.
The technical knowledge that we have as a team, that is all that the insurance companies need. They need reinsurance broking firm that is technically sound, that they can get the business and place it on their behalf so that they can get wide coverage for them with less premium payment. You need a broker that when you give a business to, he will be in a position to place it as soon as possible so that you can get support. And when the eventuality happens, you wouldn't find yourself wanting.
Group General Director Charles Mill further underscored the company's commitment to capacity building within the industry.
Training is going to be our hallmark. And for the reinsurances too, we intend to also empower even the local reinsurance companies here to get better capacity supports with a reduced cost of acquisition. Because if you move into the reinsurance sector, the reinsurance companies look for capacity to be able to ride more risk. And for areas where they will need extra capacity elsewhere, which is maybe by the SSM, tend to do proper negotiations to bring down the cost of the procurement of those non-proportional treaty premiums down considerably.
Stella Jonah, head of supervision at the National Insurance Commission, representing the acting Commissioner General, highlighted the immense opportunities within Ghana's insurance and reinsurance market.
The insurance broking companies are over 100 now. Reinsurance broking offices are just 5. So with you, in addition, will be 6. But tell that 5 people carry between 10 to 20% of performance figures of the insurance broking sector. You can tell that there's some potential. And so we're quite eager for Regal Re to come up and show what they have.
Regal Reinsurance Brokerage is steadfast in its mission to become the trusted partner of choice for insurance companies across Ghana, driving innovation and delivering exceptional service.
You're watching The Marketplace. Still to come, could individual bondholders affected by haircuts likely determine the outcome of the upcoming elections? We'll delve into that after this break. All right, welcome back. Time for some business and politics. Decision day in Ghana, just 2 days away. Can you believe it? Well, this afternoon, we want to analyze the likely impact of the over 1 million individual bondholders who suffered haircuts during the country's domestic debt exchange program and the outcome of the election. Joining me, lead data analyst here at Joy News, Isaac Ofieje, with more on that. 2 days away, just 2 days, Isaac. And
just 2 days?
There's 1.3 million bondholders.
1.3 million
could decide the elections. Tell us about it.
Well, so going into this year's election, there are different blocks to analyze. And one of the key blocks going into the elections is the individual bondholders. This is not even the entire bondholders. This is just individual bondholders. And according to the Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum, when this whole debt restructuring started, they estimated that there are about 1.3 million Ghanaians who were going to, or individual bondholders who were going to suffer or be affected as a result of the debt restructuring that was done in the domestic space. Now, you are just looking at 1.3 million and say, oh, maybe there are 18.8 million registered voters going into this year's election. But if we show you the margin of victory from 2000 to 2020, that is when you see that 1.3 million people going into this year's election. It's an interesting block to also analyze in this year. I mean, 2000 election, just look at the margin of win between the NPP and the NDC. NPP won in the runoff with about, some 881 and change, registered voters. 2004, it reduced to 673,706 voters, right?
That was
2008 was the ish. I mean, the lowest. So it means that
time by-election.
I mean, this was also a runoff. I mean, that election was won by 84,255 voters. So it means that in Ghana, you can actually win elections just by this margin. Elections have ever been close like this before in 2008 runoff. And in 2012, we saw the rise. 2016, in this period under review, was the highest, almost a million margin between the NPP and the NDC. And then, now, that reduced to somewhere a little above 500,000, voters. That tells you that going into this year, if you have 1.3 million individual bondholders who are aggrieved and were affected by the domestic debt exchange program, maybe both political parties may devise different, electioneering campaign messages to this 1.3 million people.
I've seen the NDC capitalize on that. An ad from one of the affected bondholders on the impact of that decision by the government on his livelihood. The NPP promising payments. I mean, just
right after. Exactly.
The finance minister saying, "We are going to pay you. Don't worry."
I mean, the interesting thing is that this, for me, is let's go back to that. This is the first election that we are going into that we have a block, right? That is 1.3 million people. And this block are people who have been affected by a certain, policy by the government. And we know the anti-incumbent sentiment going around the globe. But there are different facets to this whole analysis that we can actually bring in.
All right.
Another facet is that going into this year's election, there's another block called the Gen Z voters, who we estimate are more than 2 million, people going into this year's election, Gen Z voters, right? For them, their first hardship or their first economic hardship possibly will be the one that started maybe COVID period till now. How are they going to vote in this year's election? That's also another interesting group to look at. Let's look at the average. This chart that we showed you, if you do the average in terms of the margin of victory, the average is 585,000, close to 600,000, votes. It means that is what you actually need every election year to win elections in the country. But for me, the most important thing is what the former majority leader said on the individual bondholders. And I want you to read this for us so that we will analyze why the 1.3 million people are so crucial in this year's election.
Like you would. So
try.
Many of these bondholders also belong to the middle class, and that's where the major worry is. If we are wiping away the middle class, that could be dangerous. So we need to have some further dialogue on this, the middle class.
This is according to the former majority leader, Osei Mensah Bonsu. He is worried, actually, about the middle class that have been affected by the debt exchange program.
Exactly.
The 1.3 million we saw is the individual bondholders. Now, if we expand the domain and bring in the middle class, if you do the estimation, are about 14 million Ghanaians. 14 million Ghanaians. And in fact, not all of them are registered voters anyway, but 14 million Ghanaians is huge. Because if you look at going into every election, I always say that there are 3 pots, right? There's the green pot, the blue pot, and the purple pot. The green pot are the NDC faithfuls. They, every year, comprise about 40% of the registered voters. The blue pot, which is the NPP faithfuls, they are about 45% of the registered voters. And you have the purple pot. They are neither blue or green. They comprise about 15%. That 15%, majority of them are educated, and they belong to the middle class.
And if you draw parallels with the US election, the working class won the election for Donald.
Absolutely.
Got abandoned by the Democrats.
I mean, we are not predicting the election, but it's an important group to analyze and look at the various dynamics going into this year's election. But I mean, if you try to understand the middle class and where they belong, you look at the ideology of both political parties and their background, you definitely will know where majority of the nation's middle class belong. Yeah. So even if they are not going to vote green or blue, definitely there's what we call apathy. And I have said that this year's election, this year's election will be fought on the turf of what we call the propensity to vote, the likelihood of people coming out to vote. These are middle class. They are about 40 million people. Majority of them are registered voters. What will be their propensity to vote? Are they going to say, look, maybe I'm not going to vote the other way around, but because I've been affected by the domestic deficit program, I'm not going to vote anymore. There's going to be apathy. Interesting one to also look at. I mean, so it is interesting that we are going into an election where one block is about 1.3 million people who have been affected by the DDEP. And just look at this, you know where they belong. Even if they will not decide to vote either way, apathy, or what we call the propensity to vote, is very key going into the elections.
I mean, I've been talking to a lot of my middle-class friends. Most of them are not voting.
That's apathy for you?
Most of them are not voting. Well, that's the marketplace. I need to run more analysis throughout the day as we report on the final rallies of both political parties right here on this network. Don't go anywhere. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for watching. We'll see you when we see you.